I believe we are now live, but no. Shit, which screen is it on? All right, guys. Welcome to the Meet and Shoot critique. I'm loud, so I apologize to Kayla if she hates that. Guys, this is a critique. I thought Patrick was going to be here, but he's not. So for anyone who's watching online, there is absolutely no one here except for two guys. We're probably not going to be lasting that long here, but there's a few slides we're going to go through, and then we're going to look at the images. All right, guys. Welcome to introductions. Everyone knows who I am here, and Jamie and Elizabeth, who's here right now. You guys can't see her, but someone who is here is Elizabeth, little girl. And as always, the venue is provided by Mike Noah at Photoplex. Guys, if you guys want to join here, it's only $50 a month. Come by, check it out. And the cool thing is, Mike says the equipment is usable by anyone renting it. So it's a no-brainer. For $50 for a month, you get 2 hours, and you get a bunch of studio equipment you can use. As always, sponsored by Aperture Event. Meet Shoot 10. Use that to get 10% off any order. All right. A little bit about Meet and Shoot, guys. This is a member event. For those who don't know what Meet and Shoot is, if anyone's watching this a little bit later, we're an organized photography meetup group based in Atlanta, Georgia. We deliver great photo shoots, workshops, classes, and more. So come check us out, and you'll have a great, unique experience. Go to our meetup.com page, and you'll see more of our events or just any events that are coming up. Shoots can range from free to members or have a ridiculously low cost. The membership program is this is a member event here, and so we have events specifically for members ranging from shoots, classes, and more. These events are for members only, so make sure to pay your $25 due. It's an annual due that lasts a year from the first day you pay it. We are now streaming the events also, which some of you who are watching this is seeing now. The cool part about our streams, guys, is not only are they actively live streaming, but they're archived. So if you miss something, you can go ahead and watch it later, which is actually the reason why we are continuing with this one and not canceling it, because a lot of us, we probably forgot about it. Truthfully, this event was moved back, and we weren't really telling people about it again. So we're going to go through the slides and do a few critiques so you guys can see how these critiques work in the future. There's always a little bit more, though, if you come in person. So make sure you come in person if you can. I know there's a few of you who are really far out, some of you guys all the way up in like Alaska. I can understand why you guys aren't coming, but for those who are local, try to make it out once in a while. All right. So we do have other shoots and event members you do have to pay for. And so if you go up and you see an event and it's requiring you to pay, a membership doesn't unfortunately cover that. You do have to pay for it, but there are a plethora of member events, probably about 1 to 2 a month. In the past year and a half that we've ran this program, there's been about 20 member events that you have unlimited access to. All right, guys, massive thank you to the members who made it to the TFP shoot 2 weeks ago. We had over 70 photographers. Ironically, the 2 here, I don't believe made it. The 2 that are actually here.
Out of town.
One saying he was out of town, the other being looking at his phone and not paying attention. So we had over 10 models and a lot of happy faces. There's already over, I believe, 300 photos up on the meetup.com page, so a lot of happy people. Hey, Jamie, you around? I guess Jamie's out there. All right, guys. Upcoming events. Double sold out. This is kind of embarrassing to mention. There's an Elizabeth Spotlight session where it's a MILF bath based one where we set up a bath, we set up a pool of water, we fill it with milk or milk substitute, we won't tell you what it is, and Elizabeth models in it. So for those who aren't aware of what a Spotlight session is, let me go ahead and talk about that. Spotlight sessions are the perfect thing for people who want low-key shoots. You're there with a few other photographers, and you're paying a little premium for the lighting, the setup, the direction if you need it. So it's open for everyone of all skill levels, and you have an amazing model that you're working with. Spotlight sessions benefit everyone involved, and essentially it's a unique idea, or not a unique idea, it's a unique environment or a theme that's explained, and then that's pretty much what you're paying for, and almost guaranteed portfolio level images. And so if you ever have a chance and you want that attention, you want the direction required, or sorry, the direction that comes from a low-key small class. And spotlight sessions are the ones for you. All right, so a few other member events coming up that are pretty neat. A lot of people already signed up for it. Hope to see more. There's a Speedlight-based one where we teach you everything about off-camera flash, or at least an introduction to it. And so, for anyone who's interested in off-camera flash, that's a great taste test or a teaser for all the things you can possibly do. Question?
Is that going to include off-camera speedlights that are detached?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So anything, yeah. The question was asked: does that include off-camera speedlights? That's actually the point of the class, I believe. It's actually going to take away or not talk about flashes on the camera, which I believe we had a class on a few months ago, but actually about speedlights off the camera, and so how to interact with them, how to set them up, just a few tips and tricks on equipment, like options for people, and also even quickly lighting with it. And the other one is a holiday portrait one, which is a really fun one, where we break down all the elements of shooting family shots and so forth, since it's going to be going into winter and going into Thanksgiving. And we give you helpful tips and tricks on how to take great holiday portraits. And these are open for people of all skill levels. Yesterday we just put up the next social shoot, which is October 23rd, which is a Halloween-based one. There's already 5 models for it. There's probably going to be more, and they're going to be dressed in not necessarily Halloween-inspired outfits, but amazing outfits worthy of being photographed. So we're using a new place, Studio Z in Tucker. Stan and Charles has worked with me a long time ago, and finally glad to have an event over there to go ahead and break in the studio or break in meet and shoot at that venue. So hopefully we'll see you guys there. We're looking to have a lot of great talent, a lot of great lighting, probably about 6 light setups at minimum. And so guys, get that going. Or sorry guys, hopefully see you there. Lastly, we have the fantasy shoot, which Rodney's already signed up for. I believe you gave me the money ahead of time. That is a go, guys. I've been waiting for the weather to go ahead and cooperate more. For those who aren't aware of what the fantasy shoot is, it is outside in the woods where we bring in lights and we bring models, and it's going to be great. The characters are fantasy inspired, so think more knights and dragons, fairies, and stuff like that, over like over science fiction or so forth. So the fantasy shoot, guys, will be announced in just a couple of days. And the location is going to be outside with this perfect weather that's coming up. So next one, guys, I do one-on-one classes. You guys have seen me do this slide a bunch of times. It's still always available, and the cool part is you guys are definitely coming in and getting great results. Thank you so much for everyone who's left the positive comments. Pretty much one-on-one sessions are you pay per session, and they range from 2 to 2.5 hours. There really isn't any cap on it. I don't tell you go away after 2 hours. We sit and we talk about what you need. And so we cover all aspects, if it's Photoshop, if it's photography, if it's studio lighting. If you want to learn how to, shoot with a certain lens and just get used to it, we cover that. If you want to learn specific light setups, all that's covered. In this picture you see on the left here, Mark did a one-on-one to teach me, or for me to teach him how to do just general portraiture real quick, and Elizabeth was there, thankfully, so we took some photos. That's what you can expect at these sessions. So, all right, a couple of just something on the side here, a little bit fun. There's a new group that we started called a figure drawing meetup group. It's not for everyone, but there's a lot of people who can benefit from it because you can learn posing and more. Check it out if you guys have a chance. Look up Alpharetta Casual Portraiture Drawing and Painting Meetup. You could probably just look up Alpharetta Drawing and Painting, and you'll get the link there. And the cool part is a lot of the models that we use for meet and shoot are actually the models that do this. And if they're comfortable with you, they'll probably let you take photos down the line sooner or later. I can't say at the event. It's not based on photography, but something that you should, something that's great about it is the models who do meet and shoot do these events, and you get to learn a lot about posing and various other aspects that can really benefit your photography. All right, guys, which leads into this event. All right, so what critiques and comments? Here's what this is about. Here's your chance to get an opinion from peers concerning your photos. Meet and shoot admins and attendees and more will give their insight on your photos. If you feel like you have a helpful comment, guys, please feel free to contribute. Lastly, we are commenting on the following criteria, guys. Technicalities, what do we like, or what can be improved on a technical standpoint? So there's lens usage, lighting, skill set, and more. This is where you can, we're going to look at the image just as what it is. Just seeing what we see, and on this one, it really is kind of like, listen to people, but you may not. Technicalities. It's more objective than all the other ones, but if you know you did something on purpose, if you know you broke the rules on purpose, it might be one of those things where someone gives a critique and they mention it, but you say, okay, but you don't really alter it. Aesthetics, the visual elements which stand out and takes away from the photographs. This is where we look at it and visually say what's pleasing, what's not pleasing, and so forth. Immediate impact and impression. What stands out instantly that we notice? So there really isn't anything like, it could be something technical, it could be something aesthetic, but in a world full of thousands of images that are taken within an hour or a minute, what's the immediate impact that we see in an image? And so it's something just to take into consideration, because over time, it helps define your style when someone has an immediate response to your imagery. And on the very last one, which is a super safe one for us, there's suggestions. External elements which aren't defined within the first three, which can be added or taken away from the image to improve it. So there's no slide after this, guys, but the reason why I wanted this presentation to go is, once again, there's not a lot of people here. There was 15 signed up, but that was 2 weeks ago, and I changed the date from that day because I don't remember the reason why to today's date, and so 2 people came in and 1 person online. Since the photos, there's not a lot of photos to look at. But for anyone anyone who's given us about 10 minutes of time to watch this slideshow, we're going to continue the critiques, and in the future, I want you guys to see that, yes, it is a critique. It's extremely difficult to bring your photos and to have people look at them. It's one of those things, guys. We all understand that. And critiques are not necessarily for everyone. But one of the most important things I believe at a critique, guys, is you only use what you decide to use or what you decide to listen to at a critique. That's what a critique is. It's only what you decide to listen to. Ultimately, in the end, someone can say a plethora of good things or bad things, but if you don't take any of it in, then that's a critique that you really don't listen to. Or you can take a lot of it in, and what I would go ahead and say is, don't be insulted if someone says something that, it is your art. It is, it is a visual art, and it does, on an emotional level, our photographs matter to each other. But in the end of it all, you can always just ignore what they say. And it's one of those things, listen to it, listen to what some people may say, and just juggle it as in like, oh, that makes sense, or that might not be something that, something that I'll take into consideration. With that, I'm going to go ahead and start the critique. I got to find Jamie because he's there with me. Jamie has thrown some images in, and I've thrown some images in, so can't really critique our own images really fairly here, guys. All right, so let's move on to the images. All right, let me see here. Save that. All right, so it is on that one.
Jamie is finishing up a phone call.
Is he finishing up a phone call? All right, so this is funny. 1 second, guys. I need to change something locally here. Screen acted up, and there you go. Keep changes. All right. So this very first one, and you always throw some difficulties to me because we are a portraiture group.
I thought about bringing a wildlife.
This is a picture of an animal. This is a portrait of an animal.
This is this is underwater photography?
Yeah.
All right. So it is an animal. Is it a sea anemone?
No, that's a coral.
That's a coral. I thought coral was like not the animal, but the vector in which they live in.
No,
coral is an animal.
Coral is the animal, and some of the color is from the algae that lives in their cells.
Okay. So, all right. So looking at this image, it is an underwater image, right?
Yeah.
And so, did you take it recently, or did you take it a long time ago?
This was a while back.
a while back. Something I do like about this that you've controlled really well with an underwater image is the lighting from the side, because I believe you probably know this better than I do. But when lighting's direct from the camera, you have particles reflecting.
Yeah, this is an off-camera strobe on an arm.
So is it not an Icolite? Is it a Dynalite or?
No, it's a Sea Life.
Sea Life. All right. So what I do love about that, being that it's an underwater, you're probably within that small little globe of perfect white balance that you're given, because everything just goes to.
It's entirely lit by the flash.
Yep.
Basically.
I like the lines. What I love about an image like this looks like a shot with the crop. Is this straight off camera?
Yeah.
All right. With the 4x3 crop, or not the 4x3. I think it's 4x3. Yeah. Is this a Olympus or?
This is my point and shoot that I had before my Canon G10. So it's a CNC or Sea Life camera that is some rebadged Japanese camera with messed up firmware.
Honestly, in all truths and matters, I love the way the lines are. I love the details. I'm sure I can go ahead and talk about how it's not as sharp, but in the reality of it, like on this zoomed out point of view, on a technical standpoint, going to the 4 bullet points that we were talking about, it did its job. The focus point, the thing on this one is sometimes when you see an image, mostly in portraiture, you're concentrating on one focus point within the whole.
Right.
And this in this composition, I see the whole thing as the focus.
It kind of you kind of start following the lines around. At least when I look at it, I kind of get pulled to different parts of it.
I've always been curious, though, as an instructor, based on where we grew up at, like if we were born in Japan or if we were born in the Western areas, if we start reading from a different
left to right or
right to left, because in Japan it's right to left or so on. So in a composition like this, it really definitely favors. This upper left-hand portion is just part of the coral. Is that like damage to the?
It's probably had some kind of small damage or something, and that's why that section is a different color.
If there's any like small technicalities that I would do to it, just to touch it up, if you ever start like printing it, and sorry, I'm seeing if anyone else has emailed any photos in. I mean, this is nitpicky stuff, but go ahead and spot that out. Go ahead and spot that out, which were particles, which were lit.
Well, some of those, the ones,
hey, Patrick. It's just 2 people.
The smaller particles are particles, but those may actually be a polyp that's part of the coral.
Because you have a composition that is universally attracting the eye, having a stray element like that
does distract.
Okay. And so if it was a photojournalistic type shot, that's like, it's a no-no, don't touch it.
Right.
But in a sense where the guiding lines are leading the viewers through the whole image, then a spot like that takes more away.
Yeah, I'd have to look at that more closely to see if that is see what that is. But you're right, visually it is a bit distracting because you're like, what is that? There's not that sort of thing in the other shadows.
You can't control this, but something I would absolutely adore in an image like this is if you had a crustacean or anything that was encompassing like the middle, that was a focus point. Yeah. And so you have this alien landscape that's around them, and this otherworldly colored, animal, and that's
Yeah, I've got another one I didn't put up there that has a small fish on it, and it serves a similar purpose.
So Patrick, you here? You want to start critiquing with us, or you want to eat a little bit first? There's not that many images, but your opinion. Could I? We're critiquing on technicalities, aesthetics, immediate impact, what you see, and then suggestions on any elements that may matter. And so those are the 4 criteria that we're critiquing on or commenting on. Since there is a limited party here, Rodney, is there anything you want to say about it?
Well, I think if I were processing it, I'd do a little edge sharpening. It's hard. I've done underwater a little, not a lot, but, with the old Nakamas.
Yeah.
And the light, I love the light, and I actually love the shadows too. The way it comes off from the side.
Yeah, I'm limited.
But
to
it runs your eyes all over the place.
Yeah,
I like
I'm
that.
limited to what I can do processing-wise with it
Oh, I want a
because
slideshow.
it is, it was shot as a JPEG.
Ah,
But that was before I knew better.
so I've got a lot of those too.
And it's only like an 8 megapixel, 6.5 megapixel camera.
And,
Yeah.
well, you know, when they got to 8, that was
That was
good enough for
good,
wedding
yeah.
photography, really.
There's the show high toolbar. No.
properties.
Properties, yeah.
And you can do toolbar.
How wide an area is that you're actually taking a picture of?
Hmm?
What's the real physical size?
It's about this big.
About that big?
Yeah.
So that's
Actually, no, that one's probably a smaller area. It's about that big.
wow.
For anyone
So
who's
that was-
online, Jamie's back in the room, so I'm going to go ahead and Patrick's in here too, so we're the ones doing critiques. I'm going to go ahead and tell the criteria back to Jamie, so Jamie can mention something. There's 4 criteria we're critiquing on or commenting on.
Okay.
Aesthetics, or aesthetically what do you see that pleases your eyes or takes away from the image.
Yep.
Technicalities, anything on a technical front that you wish to critique.
Okay.
Lens usage, white balance, stuff like that.
Sure.
Third one is I really think a really important one for you, Jamie, because this is more your forte, is immediate impact. Like when you see the image, what immediately conjures up? So it might be a technicality, it might be so on, but what vision or what do you recall or what do you feel? And then the last one is more suggestions. What elements do you see from your personal opinion that can either add or can be taken away from the image to make it better? And so we've talked a bit about this one. Let's see what you want to say real quick, and then we'll go to the next image.
This one I like the patterns. So visually, yes, I like the patterns. I like the repetition. I'm guessing this is a underwater organism, something like coral.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We just learned that one.
That's highly technical. Very good.
Overall, I like the image. I think visually, the first thing I see, I see the balance of the light and shadows there. I like that, and my eye is just kind of wandering all over. I don't know that my eye is drawn to any one particular area as the brightest of the image. But one thing I think I wish I saw more of was just color, like maybe just kick up the
Saturation.
or maybe just the vibrance just a little bit, because I want to feel life. Because I see it, and then I guess this is kind of going into the third question that Trent was mentioning, like the immediate impact. First thing I think about is earthworms, but I know it's not earthworms. I know
Right.
it's coral.
That's the first thing that came to my mind.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think maybe if it just had a little bit more color, it would probably make me think more, oh, that's under the sea. As a macro shot, though, I like it. It's very good close up. It looks like a image that would be in someone's science book. Marine life.
All right. If you're good, Jamie, hit next. I just pressed the right.
Okay.
All right. It's Sarah. And it's from the. Wait, it is from the event, right? So
That's right.
You made the event, Rodney. You just didn't make. Which one didn't you make? No, wait. That's from the class that we
That's
had.
from the class.
Yeah, you didn't make the big event.
I didn't. I missed it,
Yeah, hard.
and I cried.
There's your critique there. So, all right, guys. Patrick, you want to start?
That's not showing as red as it does on her dress. Looks much redder.
It's a lot redder on the screen too, so it's one of those things where I want to take that into consideration. Yes, your laptop screen. My laptop screen is jacked up, so.
Thank you. It's the aesthetics. I like it. It's Sarah's always classy, so
Yeah, she is. Class act.
so it's
I wanted to capture that flowing dress.
Yep, I like her body language. It
And
kind
I-
of does this. It kind of swerves.
Mm-hmm.
This from, and then you added a little splash there across the way, both across diagonally and also. What's on
Where-
the bottom? Is it?
Where her feet are. Actually, that's a picture. That's a photograph of clouds.
All right.
Where I took a section of it and I put her feet on the top.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I think it works just because it, plays with lines.
Mm-hmm.
So, good to do that. And, let's see. Technically, I don't know.
Now, I was dealing with two types of lights there because I used a flash. We had those tungsten lights out,
Right.
and I didn't put a filter over the flash, which might have been a wise thing to do.
Is it a watercolor filter?
Hmm?
Is it a watercolor filter that's being used?
No, actually, it looks a lot different on my screen at home. In terms of the red is more vivid and shiny.
Oh, yeah.
It looks a lot better on the LCD screen on my my laptop,
Right.
and comparatively. But I was wondering if you're going for an illustration type filtering on Sarah.
Well, I wanted it to be high key, but what I was really struggling with was the difference between the left and the right shoulder because the tungsten lights were hitting hard on her right, camera left.
Yeah, that's
In all honesty, what I see visually from both of these wasn't actually an issue on in sense of white balance.
Mhm.
I actually see more practical illustration effect, like someone taking a photograph of someone like Norman Rockwell or so on, and introducing their own illustration-based painting filtered on it. So that's why I keep on moving up and so on, because it was on white and it was here, but it looks like you went ahead and extruded the shadows and so on, you minimized, and then you implemented the background.
Yeah.
And so those are some of the things I'm looking for. So here's the critique that I will give you. A little bit of the posture. Her left ankle, since you brought this in Photoshop.
I brought it in Photoshop.
Something you're able to look at is using Liquify just to go ahead and bring that left ankle a little bit in, because
It's been out at a funny angle
it's
as
been
you've
down a funny
walked.
angle, and then since it's going in towards us just a little bit, it's a little bit larger in size.
Mhm.
And Sarah's great legs. It's one of those things visually, if you take it just for left on the cap, it looks a little bit big. Over there, so you just tuck that in. I mean, these are extra, like you don't have to, but.
So just move her camera right foot over.
Her camera foot you can move over, but liquefy her left foot a little bit in. The main thing I'll do here, though, and this is the thing that stands out to me, and this is being nitpicky and trying to take it to the next level, is her left hand. Her left hand had to bring it to her, not towards you. If you look at that hand, and you just look at that hand right there, something looks wrong with it. It's small, it's, just, her wrist goes there, and it's just a little tiny nut.
And it looks
Yeah.
like she has 3 fingers.
Yep.
Having long, slender fingers is one of those things that are, it's not mandatory, but traditionally, it looks nice. Maybe see if you can have her like sit.
Bring her fingers around so you
Bring
can
her
really
fingers
see her.
down, even lightly touching her, lightly touching the side, so it's just, you see a little bit more.
So that would really be a posing change.
Be a slight posing change, and that's one of those things where you can't control it in the image you already got.
Right.
But it's one of those things that in the future, take that.
When I'm looking through the lens, I can pay attention. Well, actually, I got that when she was walking, and I like the flow of the dress.
This is what I'm going to commend you on. Using those clouds and the way they're structured, is you actually, cloud pattern that you chose works perfectly with swooping action of the dress. Like the sort of the symmetry and how it's moving, visually the image is
Goes together.
even though it's static, because of the use of the clouds and the pose and so on. There's a lot of dynamic action in the image itself. And concerning that, those are small technicalities. I think it looks great, but I actually see it more on an illustration front. Jamie, what do you see?
Kind of see the same thing. Just even as a composited image, I think it's good. I think you did a good job of extracting her from the original image. The first thing I think about when I see that image is kind of like a mission to Mars, but if Mars had like a fashion show.
Red Planet.
Yeah, kind of Red Planet, but I like the feel of like walking among the clouds kind of thing.
Why is your left foot hazy?
Yeah, it looks like that was probably part of the.
Yeah, maybe brushing
Well,
some contrast.
it almost looks like it got covered
Yeah.
somehow.
I think also, depending on lighting,
Mm-hmm.
it could be like reflecting from there. It's hard to say.
Might be, because the clouds are
floor.
definitely underneath.
Yeah, from the floor.
Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
thinking it's actually a shadowing from the part of the dress that's just next to the foot. That
Well,
is a shadow.
That's the other thing I had to
Like-
contend with this, and the reason I used it was that the red from that dress was incredibly reflective. You know, it went straight onto her skin, so I had to do quite a bit of work on the upper body.
Yeah, like right here.
Yeah. I mean, it was there.
One of the things you mentioned that, the light balance differences between the two,
Mm-hmm.
I'll actually say that's one of the things that doesn't really stand out as a problem in this image.
It's okay.
Yeah, actually, and prefacing that, there's not things that stand out as problems, but, I mean, it is a little bit warmer on her right side, I believe you mentioned, but I really don't, it's kind of like, it's not really that.
I just feel the flash, the shadow. This was pretty harsh on the camera right side.
So on a technicality, maybe
The hands, the take the
The
cap in because it's forward.
and since it's a fill light, but now, I will get you on this one.
Okay,
You say it's a fill light, right?
yeah.
The fill light's 1-to-1 on the light. The fill light rarely is 1-to-1 onto the light itself.
Mm-hmm.
And so it looks good here, but maybe explore making the fill light half to a quarter of the power of the main light. Because you're
Okay.
filling in shadows. When you're doing a full power like that, you're kind of
Well, you can see on the
Obliterating
side.
you're obliterating shadows. So
Yeah. on
because
the-
I could see the shadow of your flash. Or actually, I don't necessarily know if it's a flash or if it's a light that I had.
Well,
that
there were two lights. You had a tungsten back here, and you had one over
I'm
there.
pretty sure the shadow on the camera right shin is from his flash.
Oh, the camera right shin.
No.
No, that's actually because the light was here, if I remember right.
Yeah.
The light was on the right-hand side, for those who can't see. But see that dark area underneath her hand? That's the shadow created by your flash. That's
true.
It's technicalities.
No, but
So-
that's good because actually after that picture, I was taking some photographs up in Athens, and I stopped it down 1 to 1.5 stops.
And it
with
felt
the
a
fill
little bit
light,
better.
and it was much better.
It's one of those things where it's all subjective, but it's just like, hey, try limiting, seeing a little bit more, because you're only
And there you wouldn't know the flash took the picture.
exactly.
But the background, I metered on the background
Mhm.
and then took it over.
All right,
I like this one.
dynamic. I'll go ahead and start with this one. You've taken an amazing model. Jordan is an amazing model, and you've taken a great picture composition-wise that I really do enjoy. The processing looks good to me. Something I will say, though, is if I'm looking at certain angles, there is a pink spot on her cheek. And it's showing up.
Oh, it sure is. It
It's
sure
showing
is.
up both my projector and my monitor, and it's really showing a
Big
very-
time.
And
I could use a
I-
patch tool and fix that in about
Patch
2
tool, or I
seconds.
would say, since we're dealing with equipment that's not optimized over here,
Mm-hmm.
I could say it might be us. I don't know. So, but
No, this was at, this was at the studio,
Studio.
Goat Farm.
Upstairs.
And I don't know if that, I'm surprised I hadn't noticed that.
the visual flow is amazing. Composition is great. Something I will say is I shoot on the rule of thirds.
Mm-hmm.
So what I like is putting one of the elements in the corner. And if you break it up into thirds, one will argue that it's a little bit in her hair.
Right.
But it's not. It's hand grenades. It's not precision shooting when you're dealing with that. It's within that. It's within that location. Visual impact immediately. I love the flow. I love the light sitting curve separation caused by that. The hint of a background. The funny part is a lot of times I tell the students that I have in my classes, you go to the brightest part of an image. And what I do love about this is you have it framing Jordan, who's absolutely stunning.
She's right in the middle of it.
Yep. And so, the brightest part of the image isn't her, but it's the halo that she's creating, which I think adds a lot to it. The texturing of the subtle texturing of the pattern looks great. I've known you for a while, buddy. I think this is one of your best shots I've ever seen. So
Well, thank you.
it's something there. Other than that little pink on her cheek, you got to figure out what that is, because I don't know.
I'll go look at the original and see what I see, because either I did something with the brush.
I don't know
Yeah,
which
that's-
screen is more accurate, but it's a lot redder on the laptop screen. So
Mhm.
I'm not going to go ahead and say anything about like a color accuracy or something.
Actually, it is redder.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
It tends toward the red side.
knowing this, this is a critique and you're here
Mhm.
for it. I've seen your body of work. You favor warmth.
I do.
So it's one of those things where I'll go ahead and take note of that. I don't know
Mhm.
if this is correct over here, but I'm going to go ahead and note that.
Is there a better or worse side to be? It always seems like warm is the prettier side to me.
Warm is actually ideal. Warm is ideal, but too much warmth, too much red. You're
Becomes
entering
red.
Oompa Loompa territory.
Okay.
But something I will actually say is, for those who haven't calibrated it, make sure to look at your images on an iDevice, like an iPhone or a Asus tablet, like a Droid tablet, because the majority of our viewers,
That's what they're going to be
what-
looking at.
Like 80 to 90% of our viewers will be using like an iPad or an iPhone. And so that's where you can look at your pictures and say, okay, my screen says this, but 90% of the viewers who are looking at this image sees this.
I've got the new 10-inch Note of the 2014.
Jane or Patrick, anyone want to say?
For everything that Trent just kind of touched on, I kind of like the same thing. I like the angle at which it was shot. Her hair, to me, it's visually interesting that her hair is kind of, sticking straight out. I mean, obviously, I understand how this was shot. I know
Yeah.
the scene, but it's cool to kind of see that. It almost gives a feeling of motion, like going back. I like the halo behind her. Again, it's the brightest part of the image, so my eyes kind of drawn there. So it feels like one of those surreal kind of images, like you're falling into fantasy, that kind of thing. The lighting is good. The patterns, between the pattern on the bed and mixed with the pattern on her lace, I think it's overall a very intricate image. It looks pretty good to me. The warmth is one issue I would also echo. I see we had that, I guess, a rim light on the side there for a kicker, casting that almost bluish glow
Yeah.
on the left side. That one would probably be the only one that I think in this image doesn't really work because you have all this warmth and then just a little strip of cool. So if you could
That's a good point too, with the cheek.
Uh-huh.
Something's definitely going on the left side there.
Yeah,
Because it makes her hair look black instead of
right.
brown.
Yeah,
Good
so
point.
if there was a way to warm that side up, that would be kind of cool.
Now, do you like the star? See where I put my logo?
Yeah, I do like the star. I noticed the beams coming out there.
Okay. I was trying to match the right side somewhat to the left side without going overboard.
Now, I like the star, but I will say that when I first looked at the image, just kind of scanning the whole thing, I was wondering why it was hazy on her arm over there. And I realized that's coming from your logo.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad thing, but I think in terms of logically, it probably would have made more sense to put the star, that kind of streak effect coming out from behind her head.
Or just taken off of her
Or
arm.
just take it off. But
So it looked like it was going underneath instead
Mm-hmm.
of on top.
yeah, but I don't think it's a bad thing.
That's good. Good input. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, but great image, though.
Now old master back here.
Oh, Master 7.
Yes.
Say Fusan.
I'd be tempted to clone out her ear. That's about it. With hair.
Just put hair there.
Yeah.
It does pop out at you, doesn't it?
Yeah. Because that way, the hair is more of a helmet-ish thing versus it gets broken up by the ear right there.
That's a 30-second piece of work there. Great input, guys.
All right. We're going to move to the next one. Yeah. Jamie gets up and leaves while I sit down back
Now,
here.
you know, it's funny though, with the angle is, look at her necklace.
Yeah. That necklace is what cracks me up. I was looking at it
It's
earlier. I
like, is
was
she at 0 G's or what?
New Gravity movie. All right, so it's Kim Page. I'm gonna immediately jump on this. Too much softening on the face. That's
Too much?
That is my immediate impact there.
Okay.
Knowing Kim's face, you're losing the details there. It's actually going to this illustration point. The reason why I say too much softening is I look at her and it looks like an illustration, and I'll look at the details in the mirror frame. I'm like, wait a minute, that looks like a weird hybrid mix there. Otherwise, looking at the lighting and so on, there's a lot of brightness and so forth. And this one, seeing the position of the reflection, or not the reflection of her, I kind of wish we had more of her in the frame. Because she's at that threshold point where she's either too far, she's like, or she's just far away enough where it looks like just extra like blur, so on. I wish there was a little bit more.
A little closer?
A little bit closer. Let's see, looking here, you did sharpen the eyes, which I like the contrast there. But something I will suggest is have her look at you. Another thing too is it's flat lighting.
Yeah.
And so here's the technicality: when you use flat lighting on a subject, you will make them look wider, the widest that they're going to look. And so because of that, if flat lighting's there, go position them in the thinnest they're going to be.
So I would have turned her to her right.
Rotate her even more.
Mm-hmm.
Kim is extravagant. We all know how she looks. She's a beautiful woman.
She is.
But we all know too that even the most beautiful woman will be like, I don't like that shot because I look bigger than, so forth.
Thicker than I am.
And so one of the ways we control that as photographers, mostly in a flat lighting situation, is that's when we start manipulating the pose so their profile is really thin. If you had her straight on to you, end of the world, not going to work.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. There is a distracting element in the curtain in the back.
Yes, there is.
So
would you now?
It looks like little tiny.
If you were
thin,
playing
like
with this in Photoshop, would you go ahead and put an image of outside in that window, or?
I wouldn't put an image. What I would do is I would recognize it in the future. The thing with critiques and what I like about critiques is this is how the image looks now. How do I build future images, or what do I take into consideration? Like it gets to a certain point where the post-processing for the benefits might not be what you want. Actually, what I would do here,
I could have moved it to the other side of the mirror.
Other side of the mirror, and then also, since it is a mirror, micro movements into yourself are major movements in the mirror. Something I would look at is actually not removing that element, but fading it, making it less
obvious. It's so bright back there.
Anyone want? Patrick, we'll go to Patrick, and then we'll end on Jamie. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know. Like I said, the focus kind of pulls you away from the actual photo because the eyes are engaged on her, but they're in the thing that's on the right
instead of having her focus on me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things where your eyes will ping pong between her two heads in this current photo instead of actually going, okay, where's my focus and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, to me, the first thing was just that weird little web paddle thing behind her, and I didn't know if she was amphibious or.
One of her web feet.
There's a really big duck laying in the background.
I mean, yeah, it just looks very odd more than anything else. So
The drape, yeah.
So
we've done have the what the hell is that reaction?
Yeah.
So something that guys can understand back to critique-wise before I let Jamie talk about. All right, so if you look at Kim, this is one of those ones I can't believe Trent mentioned that. Look at Kim on the right and look at her bust size, and then look at Kim on the left. And see how the flat lighting really makes things.
Really reduces.
Exactly.
So in working with the picture, though, I could have come up because her arm doesn't and shaped just under the breast.
Pretty much. There's things that you could have done, like if you had to rotate like
the forward one is her. If you had her rotate that shoulder away from you,
Mm-hmm.
it would have rotated her whole body, and really, those are the things that we immediately do pose-wise that gets that really oomph pose. The one that immediately where our subject sees it and they say, "Wow, I look like someone
Good.
amazing," you know. So, and then what I love about Kim, the model herself, which you were able to get in this one, is she has a long neck. And I do like the way her neck shape is. Maybe her chin a little bit higher. You don't want to. It's too dangerous to get the snooty look. So maybe slightly lean forward. Jamie, what do you want?
So looking at it on the computer here, I agree it's a little bit too soft in the details of the face there. Eyes are nice and sharp though. Her hair is nice and sharp. The distracting element in the background, I would, if this were me, I'd probably clone that out and try to replace it with a window pane.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And the one thing that's standing out to me right now, looking at this, is my attention is kind of drawn between what they were saying, like herself and then her reflection. But then also, I'm paying a curious amount of attention to the picture frame itself, because it's so detailed and so ornate.
Yeah.
My eyes are just sometimes just taking a look at it, and I know you don't want me to look at it, but I am. I think one thing that may have been better for this one is if the shot was more to distance, so that frame wasn't bordering the actual frame of the image, so you could actually kind of step back a little bit, and you could still see her reflection in there. I think that would be good.
I could have also, and very easily, just darkened the wood texture of the mirror so that she would have jumped more out of the center.
Sure, yeah, that too.
What I will say is with such even bright lighting, something you may want to have looked at is not use any sort of strobes or deep depth of field, and just go for a 2.0, 2.8, or if possible, 1.4. And you'll still have the visual elements of the frame and the surroundings, but you'll drop them in such shallow depth of field where they don't distract from the subject itself.
Got it.
Get rid of
This is a great opportunity to use a fast aperture.
Super.
Jake? Oh, I will comment, if this is your last one, Rodney, I do like your watermark. Like, I think it is a little bit on the decadent side, but on none of the images.
Oh, I'm decadent.
No, none of the images was it a extremely distracting element. Design, I think, is pleasing.
So,
So,
okay.
Jamie, do you have any comments on that as a visual designer?
No,
I thought they looked pretty
I like
good on
the-
all the images we saw.
Yeah, no, I like the watermark.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And the nice thing about that is it also works, and I can bring it down. So the photo forge is on the bottom,
Oh,
and
yeah.
take out the lower one if it's getting in the way of the
I'm forgetting
image.
what those little leaflet extra things are called. So,
Yeah.
all right, Jamie, can you move to the next one and you start, buddy?
Pretty woman.
All right, cool.
And an image taken at our event. I think this is the only image that was taken at our event. So,
All right, so here we have a photo of Erin. Let's see, overall, just looking at the image, I like the composition. Kind of got the rule of thirds going on there with her position correctly. She's looking directly into the light, which is a good thing. We're seeing her eyes, got that nice catch light going on. Can't tell if it's a little bit of retouching on her eyelashes. It might be.
Are her eyes, like the irises, are they washed out,
Her-
or is it just?
Her eyes aren't washed out. They're actually purple. It looks like. So I guess the theme of this one was purple.
Right.
So I do like that. There's kind of a unifying theme there. I can't quite tell in here, but it looks like in some areas there may have been a little bit of color data loss because of, I don't know if,
it might be the monitor.
okay, it could be the monitor.
Ever since the reload of my computer, that
Yeah.
monitor has been.
Okay.
So,
I feel like it's a little bit too much negative space on the right side. I'd probably try to reduce that just a little bit. Other than that, I mean, it's a pretty nice image. First thing I think about is belly dancing.
So that's your initial impression.
That's my initial impression.
I guess I'll go next. Johnny, I believe since you're not here, you actually sent an email in. It said you were supposed to send more, but this is the only one we saw, so I apologize about the other images if you did send some, because we didn't see it. Concerning this image, though, Jamie hits a great point concerning the negative space. When I taught my composition classes, one of the things that I taught my portraiture classes is there is a leading line. There's an invisible leading line from where the subject is looking. And in this case, your negative space is to the right, but your subject is looking to the upper right. And so I believe while we're traveling and we're looking at the direction of her leading line, it's leading us to a place that is up to the upper right. So that portion on the right, I think, is not necessary in this. I think she's leaning about 7 degrees to the left. I would rotate it in a little bit more for balance because it looks like she's falling back. I don't know if you guys are getting that. I think it's minuscule. We're talking like, you have to be nitpicky about it where it's not extremely obvious. But if you rotate it a little bit more counterclockwise, maybe about 7 degrees, I think it's going to create a more balance in there. Concerning the toning, I like how there is subtle shadow details. But something you may want to start exploring is sculpting, contouring it in. Something you guys may not know is Erin is an amazing makeup artist. If you ever see a photo of her without makeup, completely different person. What she does do really well is called contouring for makeup, and it's something that we can do in post-processing ourselves, and that helps define some of the details. So using contrast, burning, and dodging, you can add some of those elements to start separating possibly her hair, which is beginning to really match her skin tone and so forth. Because one of the extra things I would go ahead and do is in Lightroom, take a clarity brush and bring in some contrast and clarity on those sparkling jewels that are around her neck as an extra element. So these are things to take the picture to the next level and not correct them, which I think a lot of us think what post-processing is for. But the main thing that gets to me is the fact that she's tilted a little bit, and I think the position of your watermark as an anchor point really also makes that tilt that much more apparent to me. And as Jamie mentioned, the negative space, because of where her eyes are looking, I think the negative space is not necessary. Patrick?
Yeah, the only thing I would ask or add maybe is just what is for the hair, just a
Contrast?
well, the clarity, just make it pop a little bit more, because I'm just looking at it here, and it's not quite popping like I would hope, and maybe even lighten up the hair just a tad, just so that it doesn't look like it's all one shade. But see how, like, if you have a little more crispness to the hair.
It looks better on the monitor. It's better on the monitor. On the projector, the forehead looks a little washed out almost, like it's lost a little too much detail. So it's, my kind of subconscious reaction is that with the catchlight in the eyes and the forehead being kind of this plain solid color, it feels like it's washed out, or overexposed, even though it's not. But it's just lost on the projector anyway a little too much texture, right. So it doesn't. It looks not quite real.
Well, but it almost looks like a movie shot, because that tilt does. It's almost like she's seen her creator. She's tilted back.
She's
her eyes
back, looking up at something.
Yeah.
This is actually where a vignette may actually increase the impact of the image.
Mm-hmm.
The vignette will really
bring that out.
Yeah. Plus, move her a little bit more towards the center, just a tad, and
Quick
then.
question, guys. What was your immediate impact on it? Like, what do you notice? What do you see? Elements that stand out? Like, where are you guys focusing? What's your first point of focus?
Eyes and lips.
Eyes and lips.
That's where I wish the eyes were a little bit more contrasty and dark.
I would darken the eyes.
Yeah, that's-
I would have made them a little deeper.
Yeah, the way the lighting hits the eyes and the way the irises are colored, that's part of what gave me that sensation that it's washed out and just something looks odd about the eyes.
Well, almost like she was going blind.
Like she
You
had
know?
cataracts or something?
Cataracts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
They-
just a little more,
because
little more
they come
contrast.
across.
Johnny's over there.
It looks, I know, it looks great.
Johnny, we love you, but the consensus is she had cataracts. Aaron, we love you too.
I know.
Cataracts.
I mean, was this before
But,
the
but
miracle?
it's just the way the white light's coming off of the.
All right, guys, let's move to the next one. All right, admins have put some in, except for Patrick, because he was late bringing cookies. So I'm going to step out and let these two boys and all the others critique.
I think everything is wrong about this one.
Be sweet to Emily, she's a new model.
No, this is a great image. I
was,
Boy, that's a reversal.
Flip flop more than a ball.
No, that comment was directed at you, Star. Let's see. No, this is a great image. I think I first saw this image or an image similar to it while I was driving, and I almost swerved off the road because the very first time I saw it, it looked like it was a painting almost. So again, just to kind of say how it shows up on a mobile device, the colors were very larger than life, and the image itself was very moody. Here I'm seeing, okay, first of all, the image is cute. The eyes are very stunning, very piercing, great color overall in the image. The flowers, was this like technically Ophelia themed, or?
The background on it, not that this matters,
Yeah.
is she was actually not even expecting to be photographed.
Oh, okay.
And so she dropped by to say hello with her father at the studio yesterday. So there was no prep on her end.
Wow.
So I would say on the model side, guys, this is as natural as she looks. And so it has a visual element to aid because she was a new model. I gave her a prop
Okay.
so she can interact and draw a feeling.
Got it.
There was nothing, there was really nothing planned on that aspect, but just to give you guys that backstory.
Mhm.
So the Ophelia, there was no I didn't tell her she's Ophelia.
Sure.
It was more of a, hey, you're new, you're completely new, here's a crown.
Okay.
And so,
Got it. Lovely shadows. I think the light is perfect. First thing I feel, immediate impact is just a sense of like peace. Like, she's happy. I'm happy. Only one thing I can tell is on the camera right side, looks like there's the background's just coming through a little bit bluish. Maybe I would have liked if that was darker, like the left side.
you think it might be monitor? I'm so anal with monitor right now, guys. I apologize.
I don't
Because I'm
think
looking at the
so.
screen and I'm
No,
looking
no,
at
that's lighter on the right side.
Yeah, lighter over
Oh, it
here.
is lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he just wants a more consistent background color, that's all.
yeah. Pick a lane, Charlie.
I hate to say this, dude. When you saw the image, obviously you didn't pick the lane either.
Yeah.
You're the one who prefaced that story, dude. You dick.
Okay, Patrick.
Yeah, no, it's very engaging, warm, open. The eyes are maybe I won't say the eyes are large. It's like the eyebrows. If you know, just it's a little too deer in the headlights for me, just a tad. But again, with experience, some tips and whatnot, she'll definitely improve in that area. So, but yeah. Did you have any whatever you call it, hints on another rim light on her right side?
On her right side, if there was any hair light, or did I add one, or was there?
Or did you think about?
Not necessarily, but in this case, on this one, I was hoping for spill from the background. There is a background light, so there's a snoot that's on the back, hitting the background, creating that gradient
Okay.
that Jamie's noticed. But No, it was a 3-light setup with a beauty dish on the left and a hair light on the left. So that's that was the shot, or that was there. So.
Okay.
Well, I think she's got beautiful skin tones, and her eyes are just striking. And her expression is priceless. She's just as cute as a button.
So
Beautiful girl, and I think
Elizabeth, she was there yesterday working with her, and once again, she's new and she's experimenting modeling. Elizabeth's like jaws are dropped, like this girl has a head start over a lot of other people. So,
and I think for a lot of shots, her personality, the way the mouth is looks in conjunction with the eyes, she comes across as having a true personality.
One other thing that's maybe confusing me a little bit is right there where her necklace is and the skin there. The hair on the left-hand side of the image here, I feel like I'd want to see a little bit more of something, maybe a shoulder, because I guess with this area, I'm kind of confused as to what I'm looking at, like what exactly part of her collar area this is.
exactly.
And then the other thing is the necklace, and I guess this, we were talking about the necklace on one of the earlier shots, yeah. And she, and that needs to be hung down in a.
I think you guys actually nailed a great point because of the position of the orientation of the necklace.
Mhm.
It will look like her chest would be facing towards the right,
Right.
but the amount of shoulder and the amount of hair on the left. And in all realities, that's her left shoulder coming towards us.
Mhm.
And so, in a dimensionality,
Okay.
in a dimensionality standpoint, I think one of the corrections I could do is to go ahead and liquefy that necklace so it looks like it's sitting more on a natural position. I think you guys nailed that great there because right now her chest is where all of her hair is.
Mhm.
And so that's the thing. So orientation-wise, I definitely agree with you guys there.
Because, it's going this way. It's
Yeah.
going this way.
Yeah, it's not like Jordan's necklace where it's obviously
Someone turned the camera.
It's like one of the Gilbert ties, does it.
Guys, anything else, or let's move to the next one? Good.
Next, good job.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, love that night.
Well, this is one of the ladies we love. I love Trini, and I'll go ahead and start with this one. I love the feel of this shoot. I think you used the lighting setup that was set up really well. Yes, there is a long shadow on her nose. If some people will notice that, some people won't. I love it because it harks back to the actual feel of this. This is something outside of your control that I wish we handled well at the event. I wish we pinched the dress in better, which is something that you could. That's something that you could have fixed in post processing.
Okay.
But it's I think it's to take the image to the next level immediately.
Or I could just crop it out.
Oh, just crop it out because it's
That's easy way.
yeah, that's much easier. I love the complementary colors in the orange and green. On the color wheel, they're complementary colors. I hate Florida colors. I hate Florida. University of Florida, but it's okay here.
It's a different
Miami.
orange. It's a different
That's
orange.
Miami. I'm sorry, I don't remember. No, it's blue, right? It's blue in Florida. I hate them so much I don't remember what their colors are. Anyways, your University of Miami I dislike too, except for the fact that Ray Lewis went there, who's a pretty class act. Some people will say this is bad. I don't think it necessarily is. There is a stick coming out of her head. It's not a stick per se and physically what it is, but there is a design element coming straight there. I am not one of those sticklers. Sorry. I'm not one of those people who say, oh, that's always a bad thing. I think your shallow depth of field really helps it there. But I think if you crop it in, it's actually going to even be better. It's going to look better there.
Or just arcing it out.
Immediately, her face is what I love, but in the reality of it all, her face takes 18% to 15% of the screen. So I'm wondering if we zoomed in, if we cropped in, if it's going to be stronger. I don't know. Only because she's got such great expression, and a lot of the story is there, so we don't have to see the back of the dress or so forth. And Trini's got such a classical look. She was perfect there, and you took it there. So I wonder if, or even if any images with just closer to her would be better. Immediately, I really like the way it looks. I love the color. Jamie, Patrick, you have anything to say?
You know, you're talking about that stick up or whatever. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Patrick,
Actually,
be careful.
it frames her hair,
Uh-huh.
instead of having the hair just like vanish into the darkness.
It creates a beautiful
So it
kick.
actually works in this particular instance. Because otherwise, if that whole bright element's gone, her hair is just recedes into the darkness.
And you don't know exactly where her head ends.
Right. And because literally, you have all the light coming in on this side, it's just, you have just a hit of darkness, and then it comes back around. So that actually works for this particular shot. But yeah, usually you don't want antennas or whatever sticking out.
Trees.
Yeah.
Unless that's part of their costume.
It's not
Which
more,
is sometimes true.
You swing your camera around.
It's not more from Mark the Martian here.
Yep.
So, yeah. I can't tell if maybe all the light on her cheek and her forehead is blown out at all, or is it pretty much right on the edge?
I don't like Trent's monitor either. Because I can't tell.
I'm so sorry, guys. I'm actually going to bring out proper computers next time.
Yeah, that's it. The only
Yeah.
other thing is make sure that's not blown out when you take a shot, because that's like the easiest part to blow out because the lights hit your right on the fingers as well as cheek and forehead. But yeah, other than that, you know, tell the story. Your eyes are, you know, where they are. You don't always have to engage to hear, but you know she's engaged, and that's the important thing.
This is cheesy. I wish she had a slim cigarette.
No, it would look even more.
Well, then, you know, she
Like
can
the
channel
thing.
your call and all those other.
I think Trini would disagree, but I think a cigarette would really bring it back to the whole atmosphere, the whole.
No cigarettes and no whiskey bottles. I do remember that night.
I think this is where Philip was probably like embracing like that liquor bottle. That guy was working his what is it called, the tumbler? Or,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Tumblr.
The projector, though.
what was that, Patrick? Sorry.
Just, you know, that little core shadow. So it looks a little pink.
Yeah, I'm also
On the
seeing, in the
projector,
projector, I'm seeing kind
I
of
think it looks
pinky
pretty
green.
good.
Yeah.
By the way, if when you do run into that, because it happens, you know, more often than I'd like, and you see it, I can generally try to go back and take some of the red out and replace it. But is that the best technique, just to
It would probably also look good as
just
black
for
and
that
white.
just that area? Yeah.
You can get a local brush desaturate.
But honestly, if you run into it a lot, you may want to check the calibration of your monitor, because
Okay.
when you're getting chunky data,
Mm-hmm.
when you're getting steps of data, there's a bigger issue. Because you start getting steps of data if the compression's really bad, or if the monitor can't handle the color, or the color, saturation. And so it's one of those things where, if
In
anyone.
other words, there is detail there, but it's being taken away for some reason. Because I've seen it.
Or your monitor may not represent the details, because there's I'm trying to remember this. There's TFT panels, there's IPS panels.
IPS.
I have an IPS panel now,
So,
but
your IPS panel shouldn't be showing steps as much.
Yeah.
It should show the
I
natural
just-
transition.
I just bought it because I saw them side by side, the one I had. And
Yeah, the
There's an LG, and I
the
just-
gamut on IPS is a lot better.
Yeah.
Because the old traditional laptops have TFT, and like right now, because mine isn't configured correctly,
Mhm.
you could really see where there's steps of data, and it shouldn't be that way.
And it just goes from one shade to the
Yeah,
other.
Yep.
my editing monitor is a
Panels is
IPS.
a good one and another two.
Yeah, there's like, I'm trying to remember.
Two or
there's-
three different IPSs that you have to watch out for.
Yeah.
But you also still, even though it's an IPS, you still need to go in and calibrate the monitor.
Calibrate is definitely for color, but if you're seeing steps of color,
Mhm.
there's a problem. Like,
There's a problem.
If you're consistently seeing steps of color,
That's where
it's either within a software or hardware level that you're dealing with.
yeah.
So.
Well, I've been blaming it on the guy that set up the
It's like
lights on the
4-bit
staff.
Those guys. We have lights that project steps. We have weird lights that have like steps of color.
Couldn't resist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jamie, do you say anything about it?
No, but I mean, I think echoing on what everybody said, I agree. It's a really great image. Trini does a really great job with this whole classic look. Things I would do, I mean, the mood it's very moody, but very peaceful at the same time. You can tell she's in.
Comment real quick.
Yeah.
That's it. Guys, and mostly those listening online, yes, we will compliment the models, but it is a skill set of the photographer if you can catch the natural talents and abilities of the model. Sometimes it seems easy, but not every photographer can do it. So if you hear us complimenting the model, it's also a compliment to the photographer itself, who is able at that point to put their settings and all that to catch the model at the right time. Sorry.
Yeah. And,
No,
and pick the right time to push the shutter button.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it is a skill set to the photographer too, and compliments to the model also.
Agreed. Things I would do differently is crop off this little pinch back there in the dress, and then just probably about the same amount of crop on the top to just kind of make it even.
Yep. That makes sense.
I would love to see it in black and white. A version in black and white
Yep.
might look very nice. Maybe even with a little bit of grain kind of brought in there. But other than that, I mean, I think it's a great image. I don't think this here doesn't really bother me that much because it almost makes, for one, it's the hair light. It brings in that element of a hair light. But number two, it almost makes me feel like it's a door that's kind of cracking open and you're seeing light kind of coming in and she's looking at whoever's coming through this door.
Jamie, since it is a door, would you straighten it? Since it's slightly counterclockwise
Yeah,
in
that's
orientation.
true.
I mean, that's asking only because you defined it like potentially as a door.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
I would say straighten it.
Because looking at the now, I actually see that the plant isn't as straight too. Looking
Yeah,
at
it's right, it is kind of
still-
leaning.
So,
You
but
took it
that's
off
that.
the Titanic.
Yeah, it's,
So-
I'm gonna excuse the language. It's nitpicky shit. I was just wondering when you mentioned it as the door. So.
Mhm.
All right, guys, let's hit the next one. All right. Shit. It's another one of mine. So let's see what Jamie says.
No, I actually really like this one.
He likes this one because he wants to work with this model so bad.
No.
He doesn't like the fact, since I'm broadcasting online, I can pick on him. He's like, Trev, you're working with her. I can't believe it. I even mentioned it to her. I was like, Jamie wants to work with you, but he can't. Because he's always so busy and he doesn't want to see you anyways.
Well played, well played. Good job.
Deal with it.
Yes. Let me try to deal with that.
Actually, I'm going to be mean. Hey, Jamie,
Yeah,
anything you say, you could have been there and shot it better. But you weren't.
but I wasn't. I'm going to go ahead and accept that. I was not there. Could have tried to do it better, but probably wouldn't have. This one I really like. I mean, I like the contrast between her dress and the background. I like the framing elements in the background, the use of the leaves, or positioning her near the leaves to kind of make a border down there at the bottom. Her orientation is nice. It's like I don't feel like I'm struggling to compose the image in my mind. It's nice to just look there. Her face is very defined, well defined. Great makeup, and her hair is also really cool when laid out like that. Not much I could say on this one in terms of like.
What about the, you can see just a part of the leg at the top.
Yeah. That's so one leg is over the other, but yeah, you're losing that bottom leg. Maybe seeing that leg go off the screen also may have been a little bit better.
It's either there, you just crop it.
But yeah, you could just crop that.
Pushing the
I
border on
like the
left.
way having the skirt flared out like that counteracts the effect of shooting her straight on would make her look fat.
What, were you on a ladder or?
You guys would love this one.
She's standing up?
Jamie and Pat
No?
have seen it before. You guys remember the area behind the office?
Mm-hmm.
The little stone path
Yeah.
that you would never
On the
shoot
wall.
at?
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Wow.
You guys have worked with me long enough, you know my MO. Hey, lay over there. The reason why I brought that up, Rodney, I don't know if you've been there,
Mhm.
is there is about a 3-foot shelf.
Oh, okay, so you were standing up
Yeah,
on
you
the
can see
ledge.
you can see the stone.
Yeah, I
Right
can see
on the
that
left
on stone.
Camera
the
left over
brick
there,
stone thing that's
bottom.
built up for that ledge. That's what I was standing on. I'm going to go ahead and make a lesson out of this. One of the things I preach at all the meet and shoot guys is if you don't know where you want your models to look, have them look towards the light. Brightest part of the day was a cloudy sky. And so if you guys notice her eyes, that's what's being reflected.
Oh, so she doesn't have
That's
cataracts.
great.
She doesn't have cataracts. Yep. I don't.
She definitely doesn't have
So you can see
cataracts.
me too.
Yeah,
It's hard
there
to,
you
but
are.
that's me right there,
There you
looking
are.
down, right at the back of our really, really tiny studio, our really tiny office. So,
I love the way the leaves frame the bottom of the picture and then it flows into your logo. I love the position of her left hand and her right hand.
oh,
And her hair
Rodney,
is
like,
just
Rodney, you
gorgeous.
noticed that on, to kind of since there's a version of it, I could have made her fingers look a little bit better, but the difference between having the hands pointed to you and having the hands pointed away is getting the slender fingers and so forth.
Right.
But something I think Shelton mentioned, at first when I shot with her, she was in a position where her body was fully turned towards me, and the dress being pure white was really flat. So I asked her to rotate about 10 degrees to her body, 10 to 15 degrees away from me, and I think it worked. So,
Yes, because I mean, you can see the curves, the form. And I like the shadows too, catching, you didn't white out the whole dress, which is easy
Yeah.
there.
Can you turn it counterclockwise?
Mhm.
Yeah, see there, if you actually cropped in a little more on the right side and took out a little bit of the skin, but I don't know. I don't know if I like it like that versus flip it the other way.
Yeah, I like it
clockwise,
better
Clockwise.
there.
It's weird, it's like, when you do it the other way, the white pops out a lot more.
Yeah.
It does.
But then when you flip it back, it's because of the white of the screen, because there's less white on the screen.
Oh, I
It's
see what
landscape.
you're saying.
Jenny, can you hit
Yeah.
the slideshow button?
So ideally,
It's 2 to it, right?
you'd
Yeah,
mount that
black.
on a black
Yeah.
background.
Go ahead and pause that. We'll just see it as this. Here you go. Actually, those online can see that too. So there's actually that's with the crop that you guys wanted without the legs. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's not
Beautiful
she's
girl.
not bipedal anymore.
all right, let's hit escape. Thank you guys. Let's go next.
Prickly.
Yeah.
And she looks mean.
Ouch. That's the first thing that I think of.
Is that the back of the head? Or?
Yeah.
Immediate impact for me is beautiful colors.
Yeah.
The complementary colors. I like the fact that it's harsh light, but you have great details there. I love the umbra effect of the. Did I say it right? Umbra for the transition of the color. Is this newer? Is your newer camera? Or I hate bringing it to that technicality at all, Sheldon. But is it the 6D or is it your
This
old,
is
It's your
this
point
is
and
this
shoot?
is the old point and shoot.
the old point
Yeah,
shoot?
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, I like the fact that thing in the back is probably about 37 feet away, and you're about 2 inches away from that cactus. I actually really like the depth of field.
Yeah.
Since it's more of a Vista look, since this is it's using the 4:3 ratio of that point and shoot of yours, or not even 4:3. It's I think it might be. Anyways, I wish it was more like that, where it was not that cropped in,
16 by 9.
a 16:9 or a wide.
Yeah.
Because just to see how it would look.
I would love to go back to that location with my new cameras and try to redo some of these shots just to see what I can miss.
Oh,
That's the
it
thing.
blows away.
Because
Best camera's the one you have with you.
Yep. Yeah, because looking at your visual detail, I think it's the monitor too, or so on. They're stepping in all that on a technical front, which I think is going to be completely obliterated with the new camera.
Yeah.
There's also the benefit of the 6D and even the T4i that you let me borrow
is you're losing a lot of highlight details in the clouds.
Yep.
Which is something you probably have gotten 2 or 3 stops that you needed.
Yep.
But this is preaching to the choir. You already know this. And it's one of those where if you revisit it, using the limitation of the equipment that you have, I love the fact that you have shadow detail down here, where it is a little bit blurry, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? We're pretty much shooting with an iPhone equivalent.
Worse.
But yeah.
So,
Have you thought about burning the thing on the right, just burning it down just a tad?
Okay.
Yeah,
Or-
no, just that tree, whatever.
That's
burn it.
that's cactus.
Oh, is that cactus? But anyway, just burning it down, making it
Okay.
just a little darker,
Okay.
because it looks a little washed out.
Okay.
I don't know. You have to mess with it.
That is true. Like, looking at the LCD, it's a lot more prominent too. But you don't have detail, you have globs, which comes to the limitations of the sensor itself.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
I love the fact that you did get that spider web. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, spider web.
That was one of the things that I was pleased with about the picture was that I got the camera hold and focus steady enough that I could capture the spider web detail.
So I think you're showing us 2008 and 2009.
I was just, I was, like I said this morning, I was like, oh no, I gotta grab some pictures, quick. Go into my Lightroom catalog. Where are some good pictures? Grab. What is the ones at the front? So it was the oldest ones.
You went all the way to the top of your catalog.
That's just where it started.
Ye old camera pictures.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that was like 2007, 2008 doesn't seem that long ago.
Yeah.
Is it roughly around 2000, like 8, 2009?
Yeah, that's about I think that's when those were
Yeah,
taken.
that's Michael Bay toning, though. Teal and orange.
Yeah.
But I think
That was actually in my first photography class.
photos like these that you take are the ones that inspire you to continue to take photos.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those where you revisit it, you wish you had the equipment that you have now.
Yep.
But these are the ones that you initially start with, and you say, I can do this.
Yeah.
And so that's what I appreciate about an image like this. Mostly the student takes it.
Mhm.
It has the technicalities like that, the old color composition.
Right.
But obviously something that you can graduate from, like later down the line.
Mhm.
But still be proud of. Jimmy.
It's a game of thorns.
Good way to say it.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I'm prone to do, and it's not always good, and it wouldn't work for this shot, is play with the greens in the background to see where it
Yeah.
makes it look better.
It's interesting because this area was significantly more green than normal because they had had some rain recently. Normally, it's all grays and browns, but they had a little
They had
bit of
grass.
recent rain that had actually caused things to kind of come to life.
Is it about monument?
Oh, neat.
Is it what? This is on Bonaire. Bonaire is a desert island, and so the inland part is all desert with these ginormous cacti.
Yeah, that was the only thing, I mean, just totally nitpicky. It was like, when I see that kind of cactus, well, I'm not a cactus expert, but I would want to see like arid background. I'm expecting to see arid background, but I see like lush
I like that.
paradise.
I'll
I mean,
tell you
I
what,
do like
never knocking a
Yeah.
point and shoot in the right light.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, on concerning visual impact, what I do love about that image is there is kind of like, it draws an emotion. Like, either like, if someone's been pricked by a lot of stuff like that, or even if it's just a genuine curiosity. I love the line play, the detail and stuff like that, and just kind of this chaotic element, yet, worship. And you didn't do this on purpose because you took the spot, but you did choose it. I love the fact that it's lighter on the outside and it blossoms into this the darkness that's over here on the corners.
Yeah.
And so it kind of like, it kind of radiates out, and it's almost a counter of like, we go to the brightest part of the image, but it does have little.
I was attracted by the color of the spines in the cactus, and then intentionally placed it so the big cactus in the background was in the background. And just by getting really close to the subject, that caused the camera to focus in a way so the background was blurry.
Did you do well in your first photo class for that?
Yeah, I really changed. Of the pictures I took, this was actually the picture that the class decided was my best one.
And I actually had a different picture that was my favorite, but that was the one that they liked. And I can look at all the pictures that I took before this class and after this class, and there's a clear demarcation of the pictures are totally different after the class. Just totally different.
Do you know what this is back here?
That's rocks.
Those are rocks? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's this kind of mixture of volcanic rock and fossilized coral.
So it's like that one that goes up or something like that.
That's kind of broken down a little bit and kind of crumbly and lots of sharp edges. So it's not big pieces of coral shaped like coral underwater, but just kind of coral fragments smashed in a matrix kind of thing.
I've never been there. Is it arid 90s to 100, or is it like arid 70s to 80s?
It's in the comfortable, usually the 70s and 80s, and so it's a really nice place from that point of view. But it can get a little bit hotter, and when you hike and go up the mountain, you get hot. And there's goats that are just clambering all over the mountain, and after a while you're like, I hate the goats because they can go up there so easily, and it's such a pain for me to do that.
Ooh, goats.
I would have been taking pictures of goats.
Yeah.
Goats climb like 70-degree angle.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
They're just like sitting there at the edge. You guys ever see that picture of that dam or whatever? It is?
With these dots on it, and they
Yeah.
zoom in, and it's just these ghosts that are just like standing on this.
It's like Darwin at play. Those are the goats that can survive. Is there another one coming up?
I don't know.
Another image.
All right. I hate it.
Yeah.
We can critique this one.
Oh my God,
This is Jamie.
I know the contrast on this.
Yay.
What the hell?
Kind of has an eye patch effect going.
Yeah.
Pirate bride. Arr. Or zombie pirate bride. Or
You know what I hate though is that there's that little dark spot right at her crotch. That's weird.
What are you talking about?
There's that little butterfly or whatever. Yeah, that one.
That's a little bit. That's you. Is that right there? Is she watching? No.
Where's she?
Jamie, don't zoom in your crotch on me. What are you doing? Seriously?
Bad boy.
I just wish that one wasn't there because that's where my eyes went.
I'm gonna be sweet. I'll start it off. Jamie, what I like about your photos is the processing's consistent to you, and this falls within that threshold.
Mhm.
I think this deserves your watermark because it looks like an image that you would take, or it looks like an image that you would process.
Mhm.
So that's my sweet talk on it. I do like the symmetry. Not that her dress is symmetrical,
Right.
but the composition.
Position of her
the
arms and
composition's
hands.
symmetrical. If I was nitpicky about it, you have it looks like real world size, about 2 inches more on the right side than you do on the left.
Mhm.
That's being anal and that's being picky.
Okay.
Something that this is not you, but because her left shoulder is a little bit lower than her right, it looks like she's tilting to that direction. But that's just how it's supposed to. I actually really. Here's the thing. Did you ask Elizabeth for this pose, or did she do it?
She did it.
She did it?
Mhm.
I think you caught it really well then. In the position of her hands facing towards the camera,
Mhm.
I'll harken back to Rodney's pictures where Sarah's hands were directly pointed at the lens. I know I'm beating a dead horse here,
Yeah,
but we've
that's
had
good.
we've had some visual representations of alternate ways you can do it. I think it's pretty successful here because you see her long, feminine, slender fingers, yet have a pose that's facing the hand towards the camera. Shelton, he hit a great point. It looks like one eye.
Yep.
This is subjective. Like, I like it, but we also know her eyes are some of the most stunning that you can have.
Right.
So it's a good argument on everyone's point. Saying such, with how dull the palette is in the sense of processing, I think her lips need to be lightened down. I don't know. It just really sparkles and shines. That's more of like maybe. Can you zoom in there? Is it kind of like a
Top.
This
Could
is
you-
the brightest part of her face.
It's the brightest part, and actually, I want to go ahead and say this: it's the most studio part of her face, and then where the processing is more of like a fashion, so forth. I think if you dull that out,
Mhm.
or maybe blur it out a little bit, it's going to have some of the same pastel / sort of a soft color feel
Okay.
the rest of the image has. Because now when you zoom out and you zoom in, that's going to bullet point 3. That's it. I see her lips and so forth. If that's what you want us to see, good job. So. All right. Anyone else?
Overall, I like it.
Great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, plus she
And
always gives you energy and
Projects attitude and energy.
Yeah.
energy. Because she's not
I'm-
swapping, she's not,
Right.
I have one of that night too, that I took
there's
under the
tension.
modeling lights.
Yeah, it's
And
always good.
She's dynamite.
How do you feel about this leg kind of being barely visible?
Actually, I think on the element of it, I think we give the RFTs a very attractive woman who's not passing that line of making it erotic. And I hate saying the word,
Yeah.
but we're giving an honest critique here. I think it gives a sexuality and power of like the woman that she is.
Right.
And in a proper fashion, showing one leg.
Okay.
Showing the other leg, I think would have been way too much.
Got it. Cool. Thank you.
I gotta go back.
Go back. Go back.
Is this the only portrait one that you have? Did you do 2 or 3?
No, 2.
2? All right. I'm going to go ahead and ask, because you're kind of a protege with me. All right, and you mean a lot. How is this different than anything you've done last year or the year before?
Oh, yeah. Before this, I've never done studio. This one is probably a little bit more, because you have to set up the lights and everything's, the lighting is more controlled, it's more technical, and it kind of facilitated the shot in terms of like what I did post-processing with it. Never done anything like we're, planning an outfit like the one Elizabeth is wearing. So this one is probably one of my, I consider probably one of my more high fashion looks that I've shot.
One of the things I want to look at this screen.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so on the screen, it's fine. On the projector, the right arm is getting to Oompa Loompa territory.
Oh, right up in this region.
Yeah, it's just looking like she threw one arm through a spray-on tan booth or something.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do that on the laptop display at all. So it's
Right.
the projector having fun with our colors. Yeah.
Which is odd because the light's coming in from that side too.
Mm-hmm.
You guys think that's the
Yeah, it
optimal
was on the
position
right.
towards watermark? I'm gonna pick on you.
Watermark position?
What do you guys think of the position of his watermark?
I'll show you right here.
On the lower left.
I think it's okay.
I think it's okay too.
It is, and I tend to do the same thing. I move mine. You never move yours.
I never move mine. I'm lazy.
And
I have an
and
algorithm that puts it exactly in the same spot
but-
all the time.
but I hate to cover something as pretty as that with my logo.
Yeah, according to Patrick, he would cover that dark butterfly that's on our garage.
That would really be
Put it
bad.
right there. Like a license plate.
we got Monday Pat. I hate to say it, we got Monday Pat on a Wednesday. All right, let's move to the next one.
I like this one.
I do too.
Is that Boston? No,
This is Savannah.
Savannah. Show your
That's
cell
the
phone, isn't
Savannah.
it?
On the,
That's
It's your cell phone.
That's a cell phone while I'm driving.
I'm not gonna give the time to this one.
I like
The
way
lines are great.
The lines coming down from the clouds mirror the shape of the bridge.
Did you add the light at the top coming down?
Yep, the sun flare, that one
Yeah.
was added in.
I like that.
This is in no way an insult, would see this on I would see this on a corporate website, and I would see this selling as stock photography
Okay.
and being used to represent the emotions in it. What I really like about it, since you have it at an angle, it's dynamic, and that you have the clouds and so on, and emotionally, to me, it brings the journey, the frontier, but also crossing a bridge, which tends to be, in our definition, a major point. I know it's going all like metaphysical shit here, but that's what I see. And so
You could, I think, also use it to sell anything related to progress because of the upward pull of your eye.
Yep. And so I really do see that. And so I'm at I think this is a strong candidate to say why the best camera is the one you have, which Patrick said earlier.
Mhm.
Because, you know, joking aside, I couldn't tell you what type of camera this is on.
Right.
I only really know because I don't think you're driving though, are you?
I am.
You are driving?
Mhm.
Then the clouds should be moving faster because you drive like a.
You didn't slow down for this shot, did you?
I've tried driving by
That's why the screen is more blue, because
Yeah.
it's moving fast enough as blue shift.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
That's why they're so fast.
Why
Is
did you?
is that tinted glass on the top of the windshield?
I think it's vignetting. I think it's,
Oh yeah, I
it's
put stuff in the vignetting.
Why did you do the? Not that it's a bad thing, but why the sun flare?
I just felt like it needed a little something on top, and yeah, I felt like a flare was probably what it needed.
I think that's a great answer to
Right.
that because it does it. You added a natural element
Mhm.
due to it. Something I'll say on a technical point, and you guys probably weren't expecting this. Did you crop into the original image, or is this kind of how it was shot?
I think that's pretty much how it was shot.
Then your lens has no distortion because the lines look good.
Yeah, they're straight.
Yep. So I think you have the S4, the S5,
S4.
and so good guy Samsung gave you a decent lens on your
Yeah.
phone.
It's amazing how those little
Yeah,
tiny
about-
lenses can do a pretty decent job.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
crazy, isn't it? I don't know if you guys know the details on the ISO wells of the new Samsungs, but on the sensor of the new Samsungs, like the S5 and so on, for every photo site they have, they increase the barrier and they decrease the width, so you get more light, but you also have you don't have that light going to the other pixels on the sensor, so you have more accurate color, and so the Samsung just released an NX1, and also once again the S5 phone has it. It's using, it's debatable how much it adds, but it's kind of neat that technology's gotten to that point. They call it ISO well, and it is the outer lining is more opaque, so it doesn't transfer light, and it's thinner, and so you collect more light. So,
Interesting.
Wow.
So
that's a-
they basically have better pixel definition and not as much light bleed.
Exactly, and so since light is something that's or you have a volume of light and you collect it, to get more light in, they increase the physical space in which you can.
That's cool.
So, all right, is there another one?
Last one.
All right, last one. I sound like a bro here, but I'm proud of this guy. I'm proud of this because I know the backstory of it before I mention like one negative about it, which there is to me, which really isn't much. I have a feeling you could have done this shot 2 years ago. I don't know. I think you've learned stuff, not just from me, but from all of us. And you were able to take the most basic of equipment with you down to Miami or
West Palm.
West Palm.
Yeah.
And meet up with a model. So he went ahead and contacted a model who immediately liked his work and brought this out and did this. And you took a hard lighting situation. Yes, it's blown out in the back, but you were able to fill in the shadows and use your cousin as a mobile light stand
Right.
and get a shot that I believe what people would see and they would want to learn how to do it. As such, this is all subjective on me. I'm not a fan of harsh light, but you didn't have a modifier to bring down. And so I immediately see the shadow on her leg, and that stands out. That's
Yeah.
subjective.
Okay.
That's beyond your control. But something, since I know you do a lot of post, you could tuck that shadow in
Okay.
using Liquify
Right.
and try that out, or maybe even transitioning it. I don't know.
Mhm.
The cool part I like about that is I love the shadow on her arms against the wall because it's kind of filled in, but on her dress it's really dark.
Yeah.
Something that I would explore to take your work to the next level is potentially taking a Dodge, actually a Dodge brush. And one of the things fashion magazines do is after they do a shoot is they burn the dark portions in for contrast, but they also do the opposite and dodge the highlights. And so with her legs and so forth, you can take it to that commercial level
Okay.
by dodging her or brightening up see her thigh there, that line right there?
Yeah.
If you look at her upper portion, her legs are about half stop lower.
Right.
And so by adding that in, you're making the whole picture more commercially I mean, in some cases, some people will argue it's too much Photoshop. This is, and so I would say almost the same way. Maybe you don't want to,
Right.
but if you look at the subject themselves, she's dominantly lit up top, and it gradually falls darker.
You could have used a couple of flashes too.
A couple flashes.
Yeah.
I think you only had one, right?
I had one, yes.
I'm proud when I see the shot. I like the placement of your watermark. My last thing about it is, I think the blown out background is perfect. I think the halo effect that's created by it, she's a goddess.
I actually like the blown out background for the reason that it doesn't distract at all from the subject. You know, there's nothing there really except the railing, shadows from it, and the subject. And that's pretty much, that's where your eyes are. And the shadows lead right up to her in the image. I hadn't tried, and I'm going to go home and give it a shot, but dodging and burning for more contrast on the back. Because I have some shots that look like that too, where I could do that. That's a great tip.
Those are those extra little things that you do to contour and sculpt.
Yeah.
So when you guys are in Lightroom trying, or if you're in any other application, not only do exposure, adjusting exposure up and down, actually manipulate the contrast portion too, and that's it's gonna be a brush that really adds in this great detail, or brighten it up and so forth. Patrick.
It confuses me. Just when I look at it, it just confuses me sometimes. Well, it looks better with more contrast than it does when it's a little blown out on the screen.
Can you do a slideshow, Jamie? Yeah. Just so we have less white and see it, and then pause it. Maybe play it a little bit more because I think it was zooming in. Then pause it once.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot better. That's awesome. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a lot better. It's a little hazy when I'm just staring at it, but no, she's bang on as far as her face is nicely lit and all that.
One element that's just a little distracting is that upper part of the bright cloud in the top right corner, because my eye was kind of drawn to it and trying to figure out what is that? Is that
well, then the next thing that happens is then your eye goes down, and you go, is that a cloud or a tree?
Yeah. Plus,
or in the right.
You can literally
that is nitpicky.
Yeah. As far as her light, you can literally just use the graduated filter, and that you can produce a little light on the legs real quick, without working really hard.
And I did
one thing I really like is the way the sun's coming through so strong. You got a glare on the column. To her left, our right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
So you have thin hair, Jamie, or thick hair?
I think it's pretty thick.
Thick.
Yeah.
Maybe because of the nose, put more of the hair on portrait.
Okay.
But that's kind of like my opinions. Something. This is the midi, guys. The structure has really strong verticals. The subject is leaning a little bit back. Maybe move the arms in a way, maybe a slight bend that creates the balance back to not looking really leaning back, but sort of balancing out in a certain way.
Okay.
But that's almost like very subtle.
Okay. And also, I didn't know what to do with their back arm because I felt like I wanted to see it, but
I actually think I think you did well because any other pose that you would do with it will turn this from being more regal to more. To being more like too sexy and so on, which I don't think really matches the feel of it, because you can't put it on her stomach. And Ray, we know Erin, and she's mentioned that like a lot of people immediately, because of the outfit of belly dancers, say they think of it in a sexual nature, where it is art. So it's a dangerous line to tread between, position of the arm. I think you did pretty well. Maybe even like her arm behind.
Thought about that.
But I don't think that necessarily is the best bet.
Yeah.
What I do like is when you chose your position of your light, you chose a flatter position. If you notice the shadow on her nose, your light is probably about right here. And so we didn't go the dramatic 45-degree angle because that would have created a really dark shadow on our nose. And so I think you actually had really good placement because it looks like from the position of it, it's about a foot to your right and about 3 feet up or 2 feet up.
Yeah, something like that.
Because of the shadow on her legs and the shadow on her nose. So I think that's the optimal place for you to put the light in that situation.
Give my comment about the shadow, the clouds.
Uh-huh.
It looks great here.
Oh, right.
Very well.
The,
Guys, I believe that is the very last image. If anyone's still watching, I don't think anyone is, you'll see that this critique isn't really that mean. I believe it's really productive for everyone. So hopefully in the future, more people will show up. The first one we had a lot more. This one was rescheduled. But guys, we love doing these. The future critiques also will have guest critiquers and probably not be that detailed per image. So we'll figure out if we're going to limit it to 2 images per submissions or so on. But guys, I think everyone can see it. Do you guys get anything out of it? Like,
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
we're going to continue doing it, guys. We have to choose best image. We'll choose best image for each person. Admins, we can't choose yours. So those are off there. So there's only 3 possible winners here, guys.
I like the prick.
Yeah. You like the prickly one? You like the prick? They can I gotta say, Rodney, you knocked it out of the park before. That picture right there, that's one of the best I've seen you done.
Thank you.
The glaring technicality on it, it's a pink spot.
Yep.
And so, there's all the other ones. My number 2 would definitely be the one in Trinity. I'm sorry, I'm more of a portrait guy, but more of one of the cactus one. I did like the first one, it's a great search one, but I love this one too. And I'm going to be a little bit mean here. I love this one because I know this is what you've done when you sort of your second renaissance when it came to photography. Your first renaissance was great. Then you got into it, and now you're exploring a new territory.
Yep.
And I want to see your progression there. Because we've seen a lot of landscape stuff and all that from you. I really, like you mentioned, you want to start shooting.
Yeah.
This is me imploring you as someone you came to for advice.
Yep.
Start shooting.
Yep.
Start shooting, bringing those in. I want to see how you improve there. I like that this is the second critique that you've come to.
Yep.
Rodney, I've seen your work a bunch. I've seen you post up a bunch. But for some reason, that's the first time I've seen that. Have you put it up before? Like publicly?
I maybe not.
Secret stash. Yeah, I was going to say, those are one of those images that you put up and everyone gets jealous and wonders, like, how did you have the opportunity to get it? I really believe that's one of the strongest pieces I've seen yet.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I have, I'm the photo communications manager for church, and I've got all these people. I have to, maybe I need a new Facebook identity.
Rocket Rodney.
Because I love to work. I have some great shots too, of some of the figure work we've done, and I truly enjoy that kind of work.
Yeah, I think Meat and Shoe's going to have a marriage counseling meetup soon.
I don't have any problem with my wife. She's fine.
We don't. That's what. Hey, Trent, we have to be a little bit careful about what events we go to. Jamie, which ones do you choose?
Actually, those were my top 3. I'd say.
It's like we were on the same wavelength.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I would say Trini was my first pick, followed by Jordan, and then Cactus.
Don't worry, the cactus's feelings were not hurt.
Yeah, don't be hugging that cactus.
Cactus is feeling proud. Patrick, you choose one?
No, I chose the prickly one.
You chose the prickly one. And so, there's 3 separate ones that are chosen. So, you guys get to choose your 2 favorites. Which you can now choose anyone that you guys see up there.
What, of all the shots up there?
Well, I actually, of the shots that are up there, the 2 I like the most in terms of kind of a dramatic, emotional impact one way or the other is the one of Jordan and the top right one. Because just the personality that comes through, particularly in that top right one, kind of a happy, playful, kind of
I know who's going to be the first one who registers for curly hair brunette shoot. Curly hair brunette mean shoot. Reserve the response.
I think I'm between that one and the young lady laying on the stone behind the office. I think the young lady may be more dramatic, but I love the dreamy feeling of this photograph. So we've got 5 different winners.
Could I be mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Say more so you don't recover. Did Photoshop crap out and you reopened it? Recovered your
Yeah, I did. It did.
Be careful, buddy.
It used one of my plugins.
Be careful. That sounds like a.
Should I announce who it is?
The plugin?
Yeah.
Which one did you use?
It was Arca, something by Arcasoft, Arcsoft,
Yeah.
and their stuff crashes all the time. I very seldom go into it. But I was dealing with that green and you know, with the color combinations, and I thought maybe that would help, but I did it by hand instead.
You know what the scary part is? We made these last 2 hours.
Well, it's our favorite subject.
I thought it was going to be 30 minutes. Guys who are online, big thank you. That's the end of the presentation. Thanks for being a part of it. And then anyone who